Hi crafters, and welcome to Creative Moments by G. I'm G and so happy that you're with us today. We are going to create a zero waste card. Now, what I mean by that is we're going to take some 6x6 pattern paper sheets and we're going to turn them into 6 cards that are beautiful, that have substance, and that I think you're really going to like. So let's head down to the crafting table and let me show you this design. Okay, we are taking this 6x6 sheet and we are going to cut it in this manner. Now, as I make the cuts, I'm going to lay them on top of this design so that you can see what we're talking about. So let's just go ahead and put this right here. And I want to show you the designer sheets that I have selected. Now, what's so cool about this is we're actually going to also create a fractured card. So we're taking 3 pieces of 6x6 pattern paper. Now look at these beautiful colors that I've selected. I'm going with the blues today, and we have front and back on all these sheets and they're just beautiful. So you really have so many different combinations that you can use. Now I'm going to put all my pieces together just like this, and I'm going to make my cuts with all 3 pieces of patterned paper together. So let's bring in our trimmer, and our first cut that we're going to make is this 3/4 inch on the bottom because we want to turn this into a 5.5. So because I like this scene right here, I'm going to go ahead and make my cut right here at the top, and I just need to cut it at 3/4. So let's just get everything lined up, make sure all the sheets are together, and cut. So I'm going to lay this right down here. Now the next one, because mine's directional, now be mindful if you have directional patterned paper. I'm now going to cut this area right here. And this is 3 3/4. So I'm just going to put that in just like this. And I think I want these big trees, so I'm just going to put it in upside down so that I have the area that I want. I'm going to hold it really nice and tight and cut that. So now I have this area cut. Next, I'm taking this paper and I'm going to turn it long ways, and I'm going to cut down 3.5. So let's get everything lined up. And I'm just going to put it in at 3.5. And cut. Now on this one, I want just a little bitty piece right here. So I'm just going to cut off 3/4 of it. So that means I'm going to cut at 1.5. And that will give me my 3/4. So keeping that together, I'm going to lay that on my template right there. I'm going to lay this one down. And now I just need to take this little bit right here and we're just going to cut it in half. And the way we do that is we cut it at 1 1/8. And there we have our little pieces right here. So now we have put our design back together. The first 3 cards we're going to make are going to be fractured cards, and this is so much fun. So let's go ahead and take these big sheets right here, and we need to decide how we want to maybe lay them down. So here's one. I kind of like that. So you really just have to go through and decide, how do you want it? I think that might be pretty. So there are 2 different ways you can do this. You can tear it straight across, which I don't think it's quite as pretty as if you make it look like it's fractured. So we're going to tear just kind of up and down, up and down. So we're going to hold all the pieces together, and we're just going to tear it down a little bit. Then I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to go down a little bit, and then I'm going up and down. And there we have it. And now we're just going to place our paper the way that we want it. And look at that. So now we're going to bring in our base card, which is an A2 card. And I want to remind you, all the measurements are going to be listed over on creativemomentsbyg.com. So just sit back and enjoy this video. So we're bringing in 3 base cards that are portrait. It's 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. And we are going to glue these onto our cards. So let's do that. Here we have our 3 fractured cards using 3 sheets of 6 by 6, and they're so pretty. But we're not done because, of course, we need to decorate the front. But we're going to put these to the side, and now we're moving on to our other strips that we have right here. So let's just put those to the side. Now we're going to take these large columns right here, and we are going to add a mat to them. So we have already cut our mats, and we're just leaving 1/8 of an inch. So let's put down our silicone mat. And now once again we need to decide what colors that we want. So let's just go ahead and lay this down. And this time we're taking a portrait card, but we're going to turn it landscape. And we're going to put this down right on the front of our card. Now, to get this straight, I would recommend bringing in like a T ruler. You can check our Amazon store out and get this. There's a link to it. This is so helpful and so inexpensive. So we're going to just put this down right here. And my tip for you is to always put down your left and your right image, and then you can work with your middle. Now, this is a little bit different than the other blues, so you have to ask yourself, how do you want this to lay down? Do you want to separate those? Do you want to separate it this way? I like separating it this way. So, and now we have our 4th card made, and look how beautiful that is. So pretty. Moving on to our strips that we have left, we're going to take these 6 strips right here. I'm going to move this back over, and we are bringing in 3 mats that we have already cut. We are going to lay these little bitty pieces on this to create one column. So let's do that. And now we're going to bring in a top fold, and we're going to add these strips to the front of our top fold. Now I'm going to separate it in between these 2 blues on the outside of this beautiful patterned paper right here. So once again, I'm going to bring in my T ruler just to make sure we get it straight. I want to see exactly where I want to place these. Okay, and I'm going to place our other strip on the right-hand side, and then we'll work our way into the middle. And we have our 5th card with columns that we're going to decorate with our sentiment in just a moment. But let's take these last little strips and create a card. So let's bring in our top fold again. Let's take these strips and let's cut them in half. We know that they're 6 inches. Let's go ahead and make them 3 inches. And I think we'll be able to get 2 more cards out of this. So let's add our glue. Decide which way you want the design to be. We haven't used this one. And now let's use these strips to create a card. So I started thinking I was only going to get 5 cards out, and it looks like we have more cards. So let's go ahead and take these, and let's take our strips, add them right to the top on this one. And on this top fold, let's add it to the bottom. And let's put our message top and bottom. Let's do it just like that. So let's decide on what message we want to go ahead and stamp right here. Oh, and I think that one would be quite pretty. So let's go ahead and stamp this right at the bottom, and then we can place our strips that we have. Let's put this one at the top. And now let's just line up our strips just like this. And I'm going to set them up on dimensionals. Okay, and we have our 2 final cards. Now, we still have these little bitty strips right here. We have 3 strips, and what you can do with those is you can open this up and you can put it right down here as just a little base. Just a little something to draw their attention to the inside of the card. And we have one more to use. So let's go ahead and bring it into this column. And let's match up this middle column right here. Let's look at the cards that we have created. Look at this. Now, we still have to decorate with the sentiments, but I'm going to do that in just a moment. We have our fractured cards. Look how beautiful they look. And we have our column card. So we have a total of 7 beautiful cards. And now, let me show you how we added the sentiment to each. Here we go. We took our columns and we just added a sentiment right across the middle of it. On our fractured cards, we added our sentiment down at the bottom so you could still see that fracture. This fractured card, we went ahead and we added our sentiment right into the center, and we created a shadow behind this punch. And on this one, we put our sentiment at the top. Now you saw these cute little columns, top and bottom, with our sentiments we just stamped on our card. And finally, we went ahead and we just put our sentiment across our columns. Now, I have 2 other sets to show you that are very similar, but different. Look at these fractured cards. Look at this paper. Isn't that beautiful? Here's the other fractured part. This one has a larger area of the flowers. And then we did this one. Now, on these, we went ahead and we added our strip on the inside, so we didn't make an extra card. We have our columns, and then our larger columns. Using our little strip on the outside of the card, or using it on the inside of the card. This allows you to make 2 more cards. What do you think? Which do you prefer? Take a moment and let us know. And now our 3rd set of cards, very vibrant. And on this one, we tore our paper. We fractured it in a straight line instead of crooked. Look at this. So pretty. Once again, we fractured it straight across. We have our large columns and our smaller columns. Take a moment and leave a comment. Which is your favorite color coordination? Our blues, our grays and soft pinks, or our bright colors? Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. Monty and I hope you were inspired by our card making today in this tutorial, and we sure would appreciate a share and a like. We also want to wish you a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.